Hello, today I thought I'd take a look at the Derwent Line and Wash set. I've had this a while, so it's a bit grubby looking now, but I thought I'd swatch it out and show you some of the different qualities of the paints that come in it. The set also came with two fine liner pens in different widths, but I don't have those with me at the moment. They're pretty standard fine liners and quite comparable with other good brand fine liners. I've got a paint palette clear stamp here on a stamping block, and I'm going to stamp that out and use it to swatch the paints. I'm using VersaFine Onyx Black ink, which is waterproof and suitable with watercolours. So the first thing to point out is that there are three different kinds of paint in this set. We've got Inktense colours, we've got Graphitint colours, and we've got pastel shade colours. So the first three, we've got Sun Yellow, and then this is Mango, and then Poppy Red are all Inktense colours. And they are very vibrant, high staining ink-like paints. I've got a separate video which I'll link to in the description below, where I do a review and comparison of the different Inktense products, so the Inktense pencils, sticks and paints. Although the Inktense range is marketed as being waterproof once activated, I do find that some pigment comes away when you wash over them, so that's why I would describe them as highly staining. So then the next two colours are Graphitints, and these are more like watercolour paints, but with a kind of heavy granulating graphite element to them, and I think that they are beautiful, moody, muted colours. I'll also link to a separate video that I've done on the Graphitint pencil range. The last one on this row is another Inktense paint. So this beautiful, bright, vivid ink-like paint. And then Inktense Payne's Grey. And Ocean Blue is, again, a lovely kind of moody grey blue with that graphite element. Then we've got one of two pastel shades, and this is Artichoke, which I think is a lovely, lovely green. Then the second green in the set is Graphitint Meadow, which again I think's a brilliant green, especially for landscapes and that kind of thing. Inktense Natural Brown, and then the second pastel shade is Storm Grey. Now I'd read somewhere that the pastel shades are additions to the Inktense range, but I'm not sure about that. So one thing I wanted to do today is I'm just going to swatch some of them out and then let them dry and see if they shift more like Inktense paints or watercolours. Sorry, my camera didn't record the last little bit. I just wanted to show how you can get a nice colour wheel from the three primary Inktense paints in the set. So the Poppy Red, the Sun Yellow and the Bright Blue. And they do mix really nicely to make secondary colours. And then down the side here I'm showing some of my other favourite mixers from the set. And you can mix the different paint types together. I'll carry on with a few more of those now. So now that the paints are all dry, I'll just take a look at how they re-wet. And I specifically wanted to look at how the pastel shades re-wet, considering that Derwent says previously dried layers don't dissolve. Well, I have to say these seem to be acting just like ordinary watercolour paints. There's some minimal staining, but most of the pigment is able to lift up again. And I just did a splodge of Graphitint port by way of comparison. Well, if anything, I'd say the Graphitint dissolves less well than the pastel shades. And I'll just do the same on the Inktense paints now. You can kind of see why I call the Inktense products heavily staining, rather than the permanent that they're marketed as. I know there's lots of discussion about using the right paper and letting them dry for long enough and heat setting them and dissolving them enough first. But I'm not sure you should have to jump through that many hoops in order for them to be permanent, if they're actually called permanent. If you're interested though, you can take a look at my Inktense video that I'll link to below. The set also comes with a water brush, which I've used a couple of times, but actually I just prefer using my own brushes. So all that being said, my overall thoughts on this set are that I really like it. I really like the colour range. I like the deep and moody colours, but that you've got bright primaries to mix lots of other options with. I like the inclusion of a few Graphitint colours as well, so that you can have that nice granulating graphite look. The paints re-wet pretty easily, and overall it's just a nice little set. I've come out to the back garden to do a sketch or two and try the set out a bit more. Got my Art Creations sketchbook, and then just a couple of things down here. A couple of pens, 2 travel brushes, a pencil. So here's the first paint splodge layer, and I'm just focusing on like the central section of the house. So far I really like the selection of colours. The meadow is a great kind of base green that I could add some of the bright blue to, or some of the yellow to change the shade of it. I think for such a small set, the range of browns, the autumn brown, the port, the natural brown, is great, and I like having the storm grey and the Payne's grey as well. So usually now I'd go in with an ink pen, my fountain pen or a fine liner, but I think I might go and grab my colour pencils and put some pencil details over the top now. I'm aiming for kind of a scribbly, rough, loose kind of look, I think. We'll see how it goes. So one thing I just found out is that the paint nuggets themselves are quite loose from the pans, and as I was getting up, my Payne's grey fell out, and I've just been searching around in the grass to find it again. And honestly, every time I open my pencil case and get a glimpse of all the colours together like this, I just love it so much. It brings me a lot of enjoyment. So I've got my Luminance pencil case, and then I've got some loose Derwent Lightfasts. I swatched out the colours that I brought with me in a separate video, so I'll link to that below. And here I've put in some of the greens. And now I've added more slate and stone detail. I'll finish there. I put some more colour into the sky. and a bit more shade into the roof. And then some details like the patio furniture. I really quite enjoyed that. It's just kind of scribbly and fun. Thanks ever so much for watching. Bye!